One, it is officially fall. The leaves are crunchy, the sweaters are cozy, and I swear I can smell pumpkin spice in the air no matter where I go.
Oh my God, yes. The crisp air makes me want a blanket, a fireplace, even if it's an electric one, I don't care. A fireplace with cackling little fires and flames and sounds, and something warm to sip. It could be like a tea or a hot cider.
Speaking of something warm, fall is hot drink season.
Yes, absolutely. Like I just mentioned, tea or hot apple cider. I love me a good hot apple cider, but I also love coffee.
Yeah, coffee really does steal the show there. Always wins. So, Tatiana, when did you start drinking coffee?
You know, Laura, growing up in Spain, I was exposed to coffee at a very young age, but not just regular coffee. I'm talking espresso type coffee. When I was a teen, middle school maybe, high school, go out to the bar with some of the friends and order a coffee, and that's when I started, and I have not stopped.
Awesome. That's great. Well, that makes sense. And me, I didn't touch coffee when I was younger, definitely not even in college, but I did start once I became a teacher. You know, that first year of teaching, those long days, grading nights, I'm sorry, but coffee became like necessary. It was so essential to my day.
Wow, yeah. Teacher fuel right here.
Yes, it's true. Exactly. And now it's not just caffeine, it's about flavor, right? So, which brings us to today's plan.
Woohoo.
So, today we are tasting some fall coffee blends from our sponsor, Northeast Coffee. They sent us their seasonal lineup, and we are sipping and reviewing them right here.
Okay. Woo. And after we're sufficiently caffeinated, we're switching gears into a topic that can feel intimidating in October. It's parent-teacher conferences. From the teacher's perspective.
This is so true. But first, let's drink coffee, that is. Let's look at coffee number one. All right, coffee number one is Highlander Grog. I love this stuff. One of my favorites from Northeast Coffee. Let's smell it. I love these packaging because you could actually smell it right through the packaging too.
Yes, you can. There's a little spot right here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it smells so good. Just that aroma when that bag. Oh my God, that's the part that I know my husband, he doesn't drink coffee, but he loves the smell. And this Highlander grog is kind of it has a hint of hazelnut and rich, smooth finish of butterscotch.
I love butterscotch.
And it's as satisfying as a cool breeze under your kilt.
A little Scottish humor there for you. I love it. I love it. So that is totally cozy. Let's try a taste of this.
Okay.
And see what it feels
Cheers.
like. Cheers. I like it.
I do. It's cozy, but not overwhelming.
You know, here's a coffee tip for you. Did you know that you should always drink your coffee while it's hot, but not scorching? Ideal temperature for coffee is between 130 and 160 degrees. Too hot, you're going to burn your tongue, of course. And there goes the taste buds. Too cold, and actually the flavors flatten if it's too cold.
Interesting. So, and did you know that many people think the darker roast means more caffeine?
Oh.
But that is wrong. Lighter beans actually have more caffeine than dark beans. That's why Nordy's breakfast blend, which is lighter, packs a bigger punch.
Oh my gosh, makes so much sense. That makes a lot of sense. And then one other tip, you know, if you are using coffee beans, grind those right before brewing. Burr grinders give a more even grind, resulting in a smoother cup. But if you aren't using beans, a wonderful thing about Northeast coffee are these sealed pouches that keep them fresh. And I like this. It's more of a coarser ground in here. And I love that. It gives that flavor such a nice pack and a punch of the flavor.
Oh my goodness, yes, me too.
I could sip this all morning long.
I know, but we got 2 more to
Oh
try.
my gosh.
Okay, let's put
Okay.
this one down for now.
Yeah.
Let me reach over for the second one. Here you go.
Okay.
Let's put this one right here.
Awesome. That's beautiful.
Okay. This is the Estate Blend. Why don't we take a sniff of it first?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Estate blend. Huh. Nice. It's very,
It smells like it could be something that you could really want to enjoy after dinner.
yeah, it does. I like it. This is a medium roast. Nice. You know what? It combines select South Pacific and Central American origins to produce a reddish molasses. So it's kind of sweet. Molasses-like velvety cup.
Interesting.
Low acid, full body, sweet
Okay.
finish. Nice. Let's check this
Nice.
out. Let's smell this one from the cup.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, yeah, I like it.
I can smell
You
some
s-
molasses in
You
here.
do. It smells super sweet.
Wow.
Let's take a taste.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that definitely is a different cup. You know, I'm going to be honest. Until doing this, I really thought all coffees would taste the same because I tend to doctor mine up. But I can really, really taste the difference between
Yes.
these two. That's fantastic.
It is, you know, and what's really interesting is the other one, it had some other kind of, you could tell the different flavors when you were drinking that one. And it was a little, temperature was a little less warm. This one's a little warmer. There's something a little stronger that kind of pops through.
Yeah. Yeah, that medium roast.
Excuse me.
It's got to be the molasses. Yum. Yum. So this could just be, pour this over subtle flavors. That's a coffee tip. Using a pour over for more subtle flavors, and slower brings out its delicate notes. So such as this one with the molasses.
Did you know that lighter beans retain more caffeine? So that even if a coffee looks dark, it might have slightly less caffeine than a lighter roast.
Huh. I'm going to keep that in mind. So not only is it how it looks, but it's also the caffeine level.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you know what else matters? Seriously,
What?
this does matter. Don't know if you've ever gone camping and the coffee tastes different when you're camping versus sometimes you go into certain buildings and maybe they have heavily treated water, but water quality matters. Filtered water gives a cleaner, brighter taste than tap water.
Wow. I did
So,
not know that.
I'm
But
gonna
then
try bottled water or some filtered water.
whenever I make my coffee at home, I always have the filtered water.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna try another taste of this.
Yes. Let's do another cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I might need a second cup of this one. It's so good.
It's nice and warm. The other one was as well, but this one is just, I don't know, there's just something comfortable about it.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Wow.
Okay.
And finally,
Ooh, number 3.
let's see what we've got here.
Here we go.
Ooh, this is theater blend. Nice. So what makes this really unique is that this is an organic fair trade coffee. But Todd, what is organic fair trade anyways? What's the big deal with this one?
Well, it means that the coffee is sourced from producers who meet specific standards regarding fair pricing environmental sustainability, and safe working conditions for their employees.
Nice. So really, when you buy a fair trade product, then you feel good about what you're buying.
Yes.
Awesome. That makes sense. So what's really kind of cool here is it's an intense dark roast blend. We just got finished with a medium roast blend. And this one has reddish molasses as well to give a velvety cup, but with less acidity and a smooth finish. One was a medium blend or a medium roast, and this is a dark roast. So we're going to taste the difference. Now, if I'm correct, then that would mean the darker roast had less caffeine.
Yes, based on what we were talking about, it does.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So let's cheers on this one. Cheers. Good morning to you. Oh yeah, you can taste the darkness. It almost kind of campfire-y smelling.
Yes.
It
I was
doesn't feel
just
like a
thinking
campfire.
that.
Yeah.
Yes. It's sweet. But it has kind of like a twist.
Yeah, it really does. Tastes like campfire. I mean,
Yeah.
definitely the most fall festival of the bunch.
Yeah, I think so. I can see myself sipping this while walking through a pumpkin patch.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
Pumpkin patch, bonfire, s'mores, and this. It's great.
Wow.
I love
Yep.
the idea. And did you know that if you let your coffee sit in a hot pot too long, it can turn bitter? So people who like use warmers underneath their pots, if it's sitting too long, and their taste is going to change. It'll start to be bitter, so that first cup will taste very different from the last cup. Just
Yeah.
remember that.
Okay. And did you know that coffee temperature affects perception of flavor? The hotter coffee tastes more bitter, and the cooler coffee tastes sweeter. I think that's what I noticed between the three. The 1st one was a little less hot, and so it tasted a little sweeter to me.
Yeah.
Almost.
I wonder if that was strategic on the part of Nordy's Coffee, letting us know that.
Maybe.
That was
Maybe.
pretty cool. And then one of the things you want to do is experiment with grind size and brew time. Even slight changes can dramatically affect the flavor. And when I'm looking at the grind size, like I look here on the Theater blend, which seems to be a smoother grind than on the Highlander grog. That seemed to look coarser. Of course, I'm not sure, but even look at like the beans, like lighter colored beans here. And then look at these dark roast. Like, it's amazing. So then I'm going to guess this is the light roast, this is the dark roast, and this would be the medium. And does that kind of come in between the two colors? Like, that will help us.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So do we get to rank these now?
I think we're going to do that, yeah. So let's look which one won for you.
For me, the one that won, I think, was the Highlander grog. I really like that one.
Yeah.
I really did. It just, I don't know, there was just something in the flavor that I just really enjoyed.
Yeah, I actually buy from Nordy's. I love their coffee. I use it every morning. And one of the things I do, I want to sneak in before I do my reveal, is I wanted to talk about a couple tips for those of us who are thinking, well, I can't have coffee because I put things in my coffee, and my doctor, such as in my case, said I can't have certain things. So my doctor has advised me to stay away from some sugar and anything that could be like promote inflammation. But I have learned to put raw honey, raw unfiltered honey in. I get the sweet taste that I want. I put just a hint of it in, and I also like to put cinnamon in my coffees too, just to always complement the flavors. But the best cinnamon I have found is this organic Saigon cinnamon. I kid you not. It smells like how Grandma's apple pie cinnamon used to smell. And you can't really find that nowadays. Go ahead and open that and check that out.
Okay.
I think you'll really enjoy that.
Oh my God, it does smell like a apple pie.
Doesn't it smell like, yeah, like Grandma's cinnamon that she uses in apple pie?
Oh, but it even smells almost like apples.
Yeah, it does. It's so sweet. So keep that in mind if you're doctoring up or putting extra things in your coffee. But I wouldn't put any more than that because I wouldn't ever want to overwhelm the flavors of these coffees.
Yeah.
So here's my big reveal. I have this every morning. So I know, and I will always probably have that every morning, and I'm really happy because it's a light blend, so I know I'm getting my high caffeine. But now, at this time of day, I really wasn't sure about the theater blend, but today, theater blend got my
Really?
vote.
Okay.
Thinking of the season, so cozy everyday status. I think that's really
Wow.
good.
Well, we want to give a huge thanks to Northeast Coffee for sending us these blends to try. We'll link them in the show notes so that you can taste along with us.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And we know, teachers, things are coming up, and we know that you're out there and you're drinking your coffee, you're driving it in the morning, you're cranking up your music, just everything to get you ready for your day. But now that we're caffeinated, Tut, let's talk about parent-teacher conferences. I thought we could do a little back and forth, like asking each other, what do you do in these situations? Because, you know, that's one of the scariest things coming in autumn and October, right?
Yeah. Conferences.
Halloween and parent-teacher conferences. Ooh.
Oh,
So, Tot, what do you think about having it just back and forth? Doing it as if we could just go interview each other, because you notice this time, there we don't have anybody else that we're interviewing.
Yeah,
It's
that's
us.
true. Yeah. So let's start with this. How do you create a welcoming ambiance for your conferences, or how did you do it, Laura?
I like to have a small, well, first of all, starting in October is when I remind students conferences are coming up. I like to use portfolios. Each student puts together a little conference portfolio of some of their favorite works. I include in that portfolio any standardized testing results from the prior year and any big, I would call them my big heavy-duty tests from this year, especially when I'm looking at literacy. We might have a STAR testing in there, something that's looking at their literacy and math. Those are the two that I'm going to really focus on for having some data. And I know I say data and not data, but it's the same. Okay, so that's one of the things I do. I like to have some lighting. My lighting, I definitely had, I lower the lighting. I don't have it as powerful as during a school day. I might have half of the lights on and maybe those blue lights that I talked about last time.
Yeah.
Those might be on to create a little bit of room inviting. And I want the parents just to feel welcome. I might put out, here it is, my favorite tray from, so I got these from the dollar store for $1 a piece. They look like silver trays. This has actually been used for 10 years. And I put that out and I put little mints on so that they feel welcome. And I put the red and white mints and I'll put the green and white little circle mints out so that the parents know that, hey, that's the first thing I'll tell them once I get them in the room. Have a mint. And what about you, Tot?
Well, unfortunately, my classroom, I can't really lessen the light because the way our electrical is set up. But what I try to do is I always try and get up and go to the door and greet them if they're waiting out there and welcome them and parents, siblings, student, whoever it is. And I point to where I'd like them to sit, and I usually sit at a half circle table with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, that's really smart to have that special area that you sit. I know that I do that too. I don't have them at my teacher desk.
No,
I
yeah.
don't use it. Number one, it doesn't feel as inviting. I feel like it's an automatic power play. Like I'm the teacher and you're at the teacher desk. So I try to avoid that. And another thing I like to do is have like a seating area for any other siblings that come along. And also outside the door, putting some chairs in case we've got some backup. Some people show up early. I like to have some chairs and maybe some books or magazines, especially working in Spanish immersion. Put out some Spanish books and things for parents to be able to see. Like, hey, flip through
Yeah.
it. Even if you're not speaking the language, you can see what we're using in our classroom libraries or such as that.
Yeah.
So, next, how do you manage your time during conferences, especially if a parent has a lot of questions?
Well, the way we have it set up this year is that we have a limited amount of time for each conference. And our admin has decided to guide us in what we should focus on when it comes to the conferences and what we discuss. So it's not quite as free or open in what I choose to share. So there's specifics. So I tend to I start by sharing the information that the admin has asked us to share, and then after we talk, we try and set some goals with the parents. I have the parents tell me what they want the goals to be for their child for that year, and we take a note on the conference form. And then we ask the child, what his or her thoughts are on the goals, and they help us create them. And then at that point is when I answer any other questions that they hopefully have. And if we don't have enough time, I have to say, you know what, we can continue this conversation another time because I do have other people waiting, and we have such a large class this room that our amount of time is even shorter than it has been in the past.
Right.
Can you, what about you? Can you give us some prioritized ideas of questions that we could talk about, you think?
Right. Well, one of the things I try to do at the conferences that I've always been at, where there were only 10 or 15 minutes. So one of the ways to manage all those questions from parents was prioritizing what questions would be most important. But I try to head that off by having those answers in the portfolio. So how is my child doing with reading? Well, by the way, this is what the reading score is right now. This is where we're at. This is what we can work on. Kind of going in line with that goal setting process that you were talking about. Having those kids there. I love having kids there during conference. I think it's really, really important, that transparency, as well as it all kind of comes out like what's actually going on in the classroom, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I try to follow that schedule. Parents are signing. If we can't finish in time, then I do have parents, they can write on their Post-it note with a little bunch of pencils in the middle of the table. And they can write their questions there that I know, like, follow up on these questions. Or
Good
if it's
idea.
something really, really lengthy, I ask them to come in for their own private half-hour or hour meeting if they really need to, setting that up probably during that end-of-day prep that we have at school. I don't do additional extended hours. My hours are my hours. But if you have something that needs to be addressed, feel free to do that. By setting something up during my after-school prep, the kids leave. We usually have like 45 minutes in there anyways. So
Okay.
that's kind of what I did.
Okay.
So, and that's, again, those are like how I would follow up if there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea and a great way of doing it. And I know I've kind of done something similar where instead of having them jot questions, I'll write stuff down on the form that I have, and then that's something that I try and reuse again in the spring conferences, so we look back at it. So the questions are there.
Yeah, I love that. Shows that growth,
Yeah.
right? 'Cause it's all about growth.
Do you have any other thoughts and ideas of what to do with a sibling if they come?
Oh, yeah. So what I do is in my classrooms, I've always had like a quiet corner anyways. But a lot of times the siblings will come in. And there's a couple things I've learned along the way. I know you should have like quiet puzzles. Those get a little tricky. I tend to stick with more of a coloring activity. Like, here's your coloring activity. Use all of these crayons that you want. I learned hide my white, my dry board, or my dry erase markers for my whiteboard, just because little kids don't know how to use them, and I find the tips all punched in, like they've been jammed against the board. And unfortunately, a lot of times when they come in the classroom, that's kind of when the parent, to be honest, a lot of parents stop managing their children, and it becomes like an issue if I haven't prepared for that. So you have coloring space, you have 10-15 minutes. Enjoy that time, but everything that I don't want touched is out of the way.
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Now, I got a tough question for you. What if the conference that you have or that's coming up is a difficult one because of a challenging relationship that you have with the child's parents?
Yeah. So this has actually come up a couple times for me in the past, authentically. Stay objective, stay calm, professional, focus just on the facts, the examples that you have at hand, student progress. And, letting them know that I always talk about my tripod of support for students. And that's my first conference in the fall is what I introduced. The tripod of support for your child is school. I don't say me, I say school, home, and the child themselves. And wonderfully, we have that all represented here at our conference table. That's kind of where I start with. And then I look at just the facts. I keep it constructive. If it gets super, like if I've had a really negative experience with a parent, and I know this parent is coming in with gun blazing. We've been there before. And their child has said this and that. And one time I had a student telling their parent they were not receiving any help during their class time, and that they were asking for help and they weren't receiving any. So one of the things that I did was I had the para, having a third person in the room with you, another person who may have been in the room with you when you're teaching. Maybe that is a little helpful, just because you might have that person able to express their viewpoint too, or to confirm what you're saying, which is really, really important. So I did. I had a para who worked in the room with me who said, no, we're always walking around circulating. And the parent looked at the child and said, I thought you said you weren't getting any help. And get this. This was a precious response. And the child said, the student said, yeah, but sometimes it takes almost 2 minutes to get help.
Wow.
So I said, this is when I don't necessarily say it in the same way, but you know what? Education is not a drive-through experience, right? We know that everything comes back fast, especially on social media. If you're using social media at home, everything you do is geared up for getting it fast and quick. But there are at least 25 other students. Sometimes classrooms have 30 or more students in them. So 30. So you need to be able to help everyone. And even if you have 2 people.
You're lucky that you have 2. I've never had 2.
And that Spanish immersion program where I was just at, I'm going to just call out Princeton Public Schools. You guys rock. Thank you Principal John Beach for making sure that your immersion students were so well supported by having an immersion para. They also had people up from Amity coming into the rooms. So it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
So, okay, tell me how you handle those situations.
Well, I try and prepare. I try and relax and try not to overthink too many things, because sometimes when I overthink is when it becomes more of a problem or an issue. I try and state to the facts, and sometimes, I have another person there to support me with what's happening and what's going on. And in the end, it tends to be a pretty positive relationship that,
Nice.
there's tends to be somewhat of a shift and a realization that we're all there to help each other and help the child do as best he can, or she.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I agree with you completely, totally. So, small details like ambiance, timing, handling distractions, they all contribute to a smoother experience, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And this format shows that teachers can learn from each other, problem solve and adapt to real time. And one thing I didn't mention is that sometimes I do practice. I talk with, I call a colleague, I call you, I call a friend, and we talk through how I can, what I need to say, or how I need to say things when it comes to these parents. So that always helps.
Exactly. And no two conferences are the same. We know that. That's why we get nervous, especially, it's kind of the fear of the unknown, right? We're not sure what's coming in. Not everybody communicates with us, but preparation makes all the difference.
Yeah, and that's all of this is what makes teaching challenging and rewarding.
This is so true. So today we tasted, I just love this topic we had today. Thank you, Nordy's Coffee.
Yes, thank you.
Warming our cups and our tummies. It was so lovely. So here's our little wrap up for you. Today we tasted some amazing fall coffees and shared teacher-focused ideas for a parent-teacher conference.
Yes, we did. And again, the final verdict for me, I like the light roast was my winner. I think it was called the Highlander Grog. That was my favorite. What was yours?
Mine was the theater blend, the final one.
Yes,
we
it
had.
was. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank Nordy's Coffee again for sponsoring this episode.
Yeah, and thanks to you for listening. Whether you're sipping something warm or preparing for conferences, remember, connection and preparation is key.
Yes, it is. And until next time, keep your mugs full and your hearts open.
And that is Teacher
To Teacher
for You.
Cheers.
Cheers.